So welcome you all. So in this we are going to discuss about the four-stroke petrol engine. So already in the last topic we discussed about the what are the types of what are the how many strokes and what are the type of fuels you use we have discussed. So now we are going to discuss about the entirely complete process about the working process about the four-stroke petrol engine. So mainly you can able to see the this inlet valve and exhaust valve where you can able to see this spark plug between the inlet valve and exhaust valve where it is covered with the covered end, and you can able to see that the piston where it has been connected to the crank, and that crank has been connected to the crankshaft, and you can able to see this all these parts has been covered with a cylinder. Inside that cylinder only the combustion process takes place. So in this section stroke, what happens when in this section stroke only the inlet valve will be open and the exhaust valve will be closed. Inlet valve will be opened and exhaust valve will be closed. So when what happens when the fuel enters, that is petrol enters along with the mixture of air inside the engine cylinder, because of that only the piston starts moving towards the TDC, that is towards the BDC. From T it moves starts moving from TDC to BDC, that is from top dead center to the bottom dead center. When it starts moving from TDC to BDC, what happens? The expansion takes place. So what the expansion is nothing but a swept volume. Swept volume is nothing but the volume which the fuel or the mixture of air and fuel enters into the engine cylinder. When it starts moving from TDC to BDC, what happens? The some space has been created here. That space is completely filled with the mixture of petrol and air. Once it reaches to the bottom dead position, what happens? The crank starts rotating. So for the energy will be taken to rotate this crank is from the battery only. The energy is taken to rotate this. When it starts moving from this position to, that is from 0 to 180 degree, the piston will be reached to the bottom dead center. When this crank starts moving from this 0 position to this 180 degree, what happens? Now it has been filled with the fuel, mixture of fuel and air inside the engine cylinder between the distance between the from top dead to the bottom dead center, where what we call that as a swept volume. Once reaches to what happens to this position, and it moves to the next stage. Now the first stage is completed where the only the inlet valve is open and the exhaust valve is closed, where the petrol and air mixture of petrol and air has been entered inside the engine cylinder, where from it the piston has moved from top dead center to the bottom dead center, and it moved from 0 to 180 degree. Now next in the second stage, what happens? The compression stroke takes place. So in this second stage, both the inlet valve and exhaust valve will be closed here. So you can able to observe completely in the second compression stroke or the second stroke, the both the inlet and the exhaust valve will be closed. So you can able to see in this, it is moving from top dead center to the bottom dead center. Now the piston starts moving from bottom dead to the top dead center. Again it has moved from 0 to 180 degree. Now from 180 to it starts moving from 360 degree. Now you can able to see this crank starts moving from this position to this. So again for this to rotation of this crank, the energy will be taken from the battery, or the energy what the energy stored in the battery, that energy we are going to consider, or we are going to convert that energy to rotate this crankshaft. Now what happens in this? So now the piston starts moving from top dead to the bottom dead center, from bottom dead to the top dead center, that is from BDC to TDC. When it starts moving, what happens? The fuel mixture of air and fuel, that is mixture of air and petrol, what is there inside, it starts squeezing or it starts compressing here. So when what happens, it starts compressing, automatically the pressure and both the temperature will be increased inside the engine cylinder. So you can clearly observe this. So only starts in this the small amount of fuel when the piston starts moving in this. Now the piston starts moving from bottom dead to the top dead center. Now because both the valves have been closed, so there is no escape of fuel outside the engine cylinder. Now when you are going to compress this, it starts squeezing or it starts compressing when the piston starts moving from BDC to TDC. Now what happens when it starts squeezing? So both the pressure and the temperature will be completely increased here. Once what happens in the second stage, now the petrol fuel is compressed here and the temperature and pressure has been increased. Now when it starts coming to the third stroke, that is what we call it as a working stroke, or we will consider that as a power stroke. In this we can able to see this. Now it has been completely compressed. So when it completely compressed with the fuel, what happens? So because of the high temperature and pressure, the spark ignites here. The spark plug what has been used, it starts spark igniting. Here also both the valves has been completely closed. So here the spark plug gives an ignition to the fuel, which is present inside where we have compressed air. Now once the spark plug ignites here, what happens? The fuel starts burning here. What the inside the engine cylinder. Now once the fuel starts burning, enormous amount of heat will be generated here. Because of that heat, the more amount of pressure will be generated. Because of that pressure, the piston starts moving from top to the bottom with a continuous force. So that is the reason where this working stroke we call it as a power stroke, because the power starts generating in this particular stroke only. Then because of that pressure or forces generated when combustion of fuel takes place, so this piston starts moving upward, downward, and it starts rotating also with its energy. What the energy has been stored for in the battery to for the crankshaft to it starts rotating here. Once that starts completely forces generating, automatically the huge amount of heat energy has been generated here. That heat energy now we are going to supply to the inside the engine. That is, it might be the clutches or brakes, or it transmits through the heat energy. What the energy has been developed or generated here, we are going to transmit that energy to the flywheels. From that flywheels, the energy is supplied to the clutches, brakes, and other parts of the engines. Then the vehicle starts moving there. Then only automatically the engine starts running there. Then automatically the vehicle starts moving. So this is about the major thing that the process takes place in the working stroke. Now coming to the exhaust stroke. So now again it starts completely keep on moving. That is, the piston starts moving from top dead to the bottom dead center. Now again in this stroke, the inlet is being closed and outlet will be opened. So you can see in this the working stroke, both the inlet and the outlet will be closed, but in the exhaust stroke the inlet has been closed, only the exhaust will be open. What is the exhaust? The exhaust gases will go out in this exhaust valve only. How the exhaust gas will be generated? See, whenever we are converting from one form of energy to the other form, there will be a loss of energy. That what we call as a degrade of energy, where whenever the combustion process takes place inside this engine cylinder, the some of the gases or some complete the fuel cannot able to burn inside the engine when we are converting the one form of energy to the other form of energy. So which are the gases are trying to escape outside from the engine cylinder, or which are the unburned gases? So that starts coming out from the exhaust gases. That is what we will get an exhaust gas in the vehicles. So again here also the piston starts moving from top to the bottom dead center, or from bottom dead to top center, because of the what the power has been generated inside the engine cylinder in this 4 strokes. So these are the major 4 strokes. One is section stroke, compression stroke, working stroke, and exhaust stroke. In the exhaust strokes, which are the unburned gases or the loss of energy. See, whenever we are converting any engine, we can't able to get the 100% efficiency. Why we can't able to get the 100% efficiency is because of the degrade or loss of energy. Why that loss of energy occurs is because of the it doesn't take place in a complete combustion inside the engine cylinder, or whenever we are transmitting the energy from one form to another form, automatically there will be a loss of energy. That loss of energy comes in the form of exhaust gases. Exhaust gases will becomes in where it in the form of unburned gases, means where the fuel cannot able to completely burn inside the engine cylinder. Because of that only the exhaust gases will form or will come out in the exhaust valve. So this is about the working principle about the 4-stroke petrol engine. So mainly you need to remember in this 4-stroke petrol engine is about the main thing is about the spark plug. With the help of this spark plug only the ignition process takes place. Once the ignition process takes place, automatically that complete combustion process takes place, that is fuel combustion process takes place. Then only the power will be generated in the working stroke. That is that working stroke only we call it as a power stroke also. So this is a major thing. Because of the spark plug only the ignition process takes place. So then once the ignition process takes place, automatically piston starts moving with a large speed from TDC to BDC, that is from top dead center to the bottom dead center. Then only the power will be generated. That power only we are going to utilize to run the engine. That power will be supplied from the flywheel to the clutches, brakes to inside the engine. Then only once the power has been generated, the engine starts running there. Once the engine starts running, automatically the vehicle will be start moving. So the main thing you need to remember in this 4-stroke is about the what how the working process takes place in each stage and what the process will be takes place in each cycle. Completion of each